You remember that ride at Dollywood called Thunder Road? Greetings. The reason why I'm doing this video is because the other day I was thinking about it. I was kind of reminiscing about my childhood, and oftentimes when I do that, when I think back on my childhood, I usually will go back to theme parks. And I've been to quite a few in my lifetime. I've been to Disney World, Universal Studios, Busch Gardens, and I live in Knoxville, Knoxville, Tennessee. So being an East Tennessee native, obviously I have ventured to Dollywood quite a bit. And one of my all-time favorite rides, not just at Dollywood, but of all time, was one of those theater motion rides where the seats move to what's happening on the screen. And it was really a lot of fun. It's basically based on 1950s moonshiners. You know, back in the day, moonshine was a bigger problem. Can you imagine a day when moonshine was an issue? Boy, those were simpler times. But yeah, there was a lot of like illegal moonshine making and transportation, obviously. And actually, we have a road here in Knoxville that's actually very well known and notorious for being the road that moonshiners would take to transport. It's called Kingston Pike. And that's where the name Thunder Road comes from. That's Kingston Pike's nickname, is Thunder Road. And there's a movie based on all that called Thunder Road. I don't know if they mention Kingston Pike. I can't remember if Kingston Pike is the road that all that takes place on, but that's what it's based on, is Kingston Pike here in Knoxville. And so this ride is loosely based on the movie as well. More on a comedic fanfare style, but that's what it's based on, is moonshiners running away from the police. And it was a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Even as a kid, I thought it was one of the coolest rides you could go on, because it was just so crazy and jerky movement. Like it was new at the time. It had never really been done, or at least it hadn't been done very much at that time, because it came out in the mid-90s. I want to say 94 or 95. And it was state of the art. And there's been a ton of rides to come after that is based on that same style. And I want to say Thunder Road was kind of the grandfather of all this. It was basically the trailblazer. I don't know that for sure. I don't know the full history, and we're going to get into that. But I feel like that Thunder Road was kind of the ride that started it all. Started this kind of process. But anyway, I was feeling nostalgic for Thunder Road because I thought it was such a great ride. It was only around for like 5 or 6 years, and then they shut it down. And I think one of the reasons why they shut it down, they never really specified. But I know that there was a lot of complaints for it being too wild, too jerky, that people were just like in pain after they got off the ride. And I'll admit it was a very rapid moving ride. It was not for the faint of heart. If you had motion sickness or were too small to sit into, the big seats and your head would thump around, it was probably a good idea for you not to ride that ride. But I just remember it being fun. And so when it shut down, I was kind of surprised because, like I said, it was such a great ride, so I don't get it. But waxing nostalgically as I wanted to go online and revisit Thunder Road. The only problem is there's nothing online about it. You literally cannot find anything about Thunder Road online. Nowadays you can go on YouTube and you can watch ride-throughs. There's tons of, different theme park people on YouTube that will do ride-throughs, ride a ride and film the whole thing, and you get to kind of be on the experience with them. And you can even go back and watch like VHS. People would take video cameras back in the day and videotape rides that they were in like 20, 30 years ago, or almost 40 years ago. So you'd think that there would be something online about Thunder Road. There is nothing about Thunder Road. I also thought, because Thunder Road was one of those rides that had the pre-show movie, like the pre-show video that set up what was going to happen. And a lot of times you can find those from different rides, especially like Back to the Future. You can find the pre-show for the old Back to the Future ride. And you know what? Now that I say that, I think Back to the Future was the trailblazing ride that started that. I think Thunder Road took it up a notch, but it's the same concept as Back to the Future. It's that motion moving to what's going on the screen. Back to the point though, like Back to the Future, everything that happened on that ride, the pre-show video and the film itself that you're going through while doing the ride, that has been uploaded 1 million times online, and I think they even went so far as to put it on one of the Blu-ray or slash DVD set, sets that they put out. And they do that with a lot of different rides. So my thought process was, I mean, this is a this is the theme park that is based around Dolly Parton, the first lady of country, one of the most unproblematic people on the planet. Everybody loves Dolly. So I thought, surely somewhere there has to be footage of Thunder Road. There is nothing. You can't find a damn thing online about Thunder Road, with the exception of a little blurb on a website called knoxroadtripper.com, and it kind of goes down the list of rides from the past from Dollywood, and it talks a little bit about Thunder Road, but just a little blurb. That's it, just a little blurb about it, and you don't even get a shot of Thunder Road itself. It's the area that it's, well, I guess you get a shot of the overall building, but not like the front where it says Thunder Road and all of that, like this big fanfare. You just see the building. And what was interesting about that ride, again, I don't understand why they took it away, because they built a whole section based around it. Thunder Road, like I said, takes place in the 50s. The overall story is that these two plainclothes police officers get the call that the notorious moonshiner of that area is on the loose, and he's got moonshine, and they gotta go stop him. And one is like the tough cop, and one is like the comic relief cop. So anyway, they find out that the guy's on the run, right? And the tough cop says to the comic relief cop, "We're going after him and you're driving." Here is the kicker. This is the punchline. The funny cop doesn't know how to drive. And not only that, it's a 1950s car, so it's a stick shift, and there's a clutch and brakes, and so he doesn't know how to drive. And apparently the other cop didn't know that, ? And so that's the setup, that's the pre-show. It's like, we're going after this moonshine, you're all coming with us, and funny man's gonna drive. And then you get in there, and it's like you're in the car, you're facing the screen, and you see everything out, out the windshield there, out of the car. And then the funny man tries to take off and he can't drive, so he's just all over the road, and it's a comical thing. It's very comical. They're trying to chase down this moonshiner, but they drive into a barn, they get a flat tire, they run into a billboard, like all this crazy nonsense madness stuff happens, and that's the appeal of the ride. But like I said, it takes place in the 1950s. They built a whole 1950s section of Dollywood there. There's a fantastic diner there that it's right next to the Thunder Road building, and you could, usually what we would do when we would go to Dollywood back then is we would ride Thunder Road, then go get lunch at that diner, and then carry on the day. There's a whole 50s section that was built around Thunder Road, and then Thunder Road goes away. They did a few other things. They originally replaced it with something called Wilderness Adventure. It was basically Dolly Parton and this dude, and he's created some sort of, I don't know, contraption, some sort of vehicle. And much like Thunder Road, he gets in it and says, "Oh, we're gonna take a tour of the Smoky Mountains." Well, the whole thing just starts screwing up, and they just go on this crazy ride. And then that got shut down. Now it's a theater. It's an actual theater for performances, that the place where Thunder Road took place, and I've been in it since then, and it's just, I mean, it's fine, but again, it doesn't fit the 50s aesthetic. There's really nothing that they could put in there that fit. They even have like a SpongeBob ride at one point, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Again, all of these are like the motion rides, they put all these in. None of that fit with the 50s theme. Now the music, the theater that they have now for performances makes more sense because there's a lot of gospel music, so it's kind of like the 1950s in the Great Smoky Mountains. So, that makes some sense. But like I said, this whole area of the park was built around Thunder Road, and then they took Thunder Road away. And like I said, you can't find anything about this ride at all, like with the exception of that blurb. And then I was just hunting around online, and I came across a guy named Johnny Amusement on Facebook, and he put up a post back in May of 24 just going on and on about Thunder Road, and even has a few pictures of him and somebody else standing in front of the Thunder Road sign. And then when you leave the attraction, you see they have a prop of the vehicle that the moonshiner is driving and all this stuff. And that's it. I can't even find like legit, like you know, professional photos taken of the Thunder Road building at all. There's nothing online about it. And I'm like, this was such a beloved ride from back in the day. How can there be no trace of it online? How can there not be anything of it online? It's mind-boggling, and I don't like it. It makes me upset. I wish they would put something out there, because it doesn't make any sense. It should be something that is a part of theme park folklore, and it's just not out there anymore. So, I don't know. I really don't know what the point of me making this video was, other than just, do you have anything about Thunder Road? Leave it in the comments for me. Tell me, do you have anything from Thunder Road? Do you have pictures of you standing in front of the Thunder Road sign? Does anybody have the pre-show film or the whole ride, the film of the whole ride itself? Does anybody have this stuff? Does it still even exist? I don't know. That's the thing. I'm sure Dollywood probably has it in their archives somewhere. I'm sure they have a lot of stuff in storage, or maybe they threw it away. I don't know. All I'm saying is that it's very weird that you can't find anything about this ride online at all. And it was such a fun experience, I thought, in my opinion. But again, I know some people complained about it, so, you know, maybe. My best friend in school actually had, like, almost went into shock after riding it. He never rode it again, because it was just so, it was too intense for him, too scary for him. And I came off of it like it was the most fun I've ever had, and it was and then I've ridden it. I rode it a million more times after that. So it's very confusing to me that you can't find anything about it. So if you know anything about Thunder Road, if you have anything about Thunder Road, pictures, anything, send them in the comments. You know, this is just a long shot, but I'm curious. I would love to know. I'd love to know more of what happened to Thunder Road, why Thunder Road went away. But yeah, so there you go. That's just a little video on a ride that I loved and is no longer with us. And yeah.
Surprise, motherfucker.